friends, continuing to the chapter Service Marketing. Internal marketing. In order that the ultimate consumers receives a quality service, every individual and every department within the organization must also provide and receive a quality services. Employees should be encouraged to regard their success in their service chain as not merely a colleague but as an internal customers. In a retail environment, for example, the focus of an management attention might be on improving the traditionally adversarial relationship between the head office personnel, that is, the buyer and the store managers. Buyers would be encouraged to treat the compliance from the store managers about buying a dispensaries with the same level of an attention that they would devote to the customer compliance and provide them with the same level of the services as that received by the ultimate consumers. In a reciprocal manner, the store managers should be encouraged to treat the head office persons in the same way. In a quantitative studies of an internal marketing in the UK bank, the absence of such mutual respects was found to be a major barrier to the successful implementation of the concepts. Although it was an acknowledgement that the support staff in the bank should provide a level of services to the frontline salespersons, there was no evidence that an interviewers felt that any form of reciprocal actions might be necessary. As one sales manager commented, I can see a cash coming in when I sell a product. They don't do anything. They have to support us, but the support that just isn't there. All internal customers, employees must be convinced about the quality of a service being provided and be happy in their works. In order to be effective employees, the internal marketing approaches are recognized that all the staffs need to understand and approve of a mission of the organization so that everyone is working towards a common goal. To achieve this, service offered by the company need to be promoted to the internal customers as well as to the internal external customers. Berry advocates that the best way to achieve such employee motivation is to use the traditional marketing tools and concept internally with the employees. For example, just as in market uses advertising programs to influence the customer to behave in desired ways. For the instance, to buy a particular product, the same tool could be used to influence the behavior of the employees. For example, to get them to approach the external customers in a certain way, the employees are treated like the customers and provided with the job products that satisfy their needs. The people who buy the goods and services in the role of an consumer and the people who buy the job in the role of an employee are the same people. Whereas the consumers exchanges the economic resources for the good and the services. Employees exchanges the human resources for the job that provides among the others economic resources. Some of the traditional marketing tools that could be used internally with the employees would include the following. First, the market research. This traditionally involves identifying the needs and wants of a consumer in a systematic manner and monitoring the impact of an marketing activities on the consumers. The same process can be used with the employees. Service personnel can regularly be given the opportunity to give the feedback to the service management about the working condition, company policies generally, as well as their understanding about the compromises, service quality for the customers. The information might be obtained by using the questionnaires of a focus group or in depth the interviews with the employers. Although the employee surveys may often need to be handled with more care than the customer's survey. Because of a fear of a negative comebacks for the employee, they not only provide the employees with a measure of an satisfaction, but also can identify yearly breakdowns in the internal communication. Marketing offers an array of research techniques that might not have been considered by the personal functions. For example, the critical incidents considered by the personal functions techniques which have been used extensively in the services to identify the source of satisfaction and dissatisfaction for the customers. In their encounters with the employee could also be used to develop an understanding of a problem area for the employees. A survey of 1,220 UK bar staff recently revealed a range of an customer behavior that the staffs found partially unpleasant. According to the survey, more than the two-thirds of these interviewed regularly and deliberately ignore the rude customers waiting at the bar to be served. According to the employees, the key to getting served quickly for the customers was to have a good position, a pensive expressions and a polite approach. Market research have also been used innovatively in the frontline employee of a dye chain have been also used by initially with the frontline employees. The profile that the segments of a customer that visits the outlets. Although the profiles are generated by the 10 separate employee focused group, the profile descriptions were remarkably constant, highlighting the values of an employee as internal sources of the informations. Second, the segmentation techniques. By grouping together employee with the certain similarities, for example, those of a same age, ambience, previous employment, and so on, the service employer is in a better position to design an appropriate service package or a job specification for that employee. As Berry notes, internal marketing of this form is behind many of our commonly used personal concepts such as job share, flexible timing, and a fast track graduate training schemes within the companies. Third, the targeting. When initially recruiting the employees, service providers can target a suitable candidate with the same way that a successful company might target the potential customers. A company with a limited skill or the resources might decide to serve just one or two customers segments and therefore be selective about the people to whom it presents goods and services. In the same way, a service company might be selective about where it is advertised vacancies for the positions. Many of the jobs in the service businesses involve constant liaisons with the external and the internal customers and therefore require employees to possess a high level interpersonal skills. Not every interested party will possess these skills. Therefore, a service businesses can use marketing techniques to match the right employee to the right job. The Waymark holiday cases that studied in the previous illustrate that the most important role played by an holiday group leader and that the potential impact of getting the wrong person for the job. Fifth, promotion. There are a traditional four basis form of promotion available to the marketing managers trying to influence the behavior and the attitudes of an current and the potential customer. The behavior and the attitude of an current and the potential customers towards the product and the services. Advertising, the sale promotion, personal sellings, and the publicity. Each forms can help the organization achieves slightly differently promotion objectives. Sales promotion techniques, for example, are defined as a short-term incentives designed to encourage the customers to try new product or to increase the short-term sales of an exciting products. They might include a money off tokens on a product on a free trial sized pack of a new product attached to a standard product. Similar mechanisms are used to motivate the service employees. For example, a bonus might be given to the employees who receive the largest number of customers. Thank you letter in a mouth. Another alternative would be a offer incentive to the employees who are prepared to swap the jobs in the colleges in different positions with the organization, albeit for a short time of period. This would improve the employees' understanding of the difficulties and challenges faced by others in the supply chain. All of these marketing tools could be used primarily to improve the fit between the requirement of an internal customers, that is the employee, and the organization. However, if the employees are to be the further convinced about the quality of a service being provided as a company wants its external customers to be, other steps can be taken. Employees could experience the service and be actively involved in formulation of an marketing strategy. It is often entirely feasible for the employees to give an opportunity to the experience using the organization goods and services as external customers. This might involve giving leisure club staff unlimited access to the club facilities or giving a staff in a dye store a selection of a new product to use. Although this occurs automatically in a number of service industries, that is the financial services, it is still viewed as a benefit for the employees rather than seeing and adding value to the organization. Research on a positive customers word of mouth in a service continues to highlight the impact it can have on an loyalty and purchase behavior. Little attention, however, appears to have given to the potential impact of a positive employees, words of mouth, stimulated by the product or the service experiences on the organizational performances. Another alternatives would be to encourage the staff to the shadow customers as they experiences the services. For example, in the educational environment, leisures could spend a week as a student attending the full range of the lectures and the tutorials. When the organization positively seeks the employee feedback from such initiatives, the employees are involved in the development of marketing the strategies and consequently have more responsibility for the outcome and the impact of a customer focused decisions. This is in turn results in the employee gaining a fuller understanding of a company's marketing vision. Evaluating the usefulness of an internal marketing approach. In theory, problem with the approach. Rafiq and Ahmad presented a critique of an ideas behind the concept of internal marketing and drew some comparisons between the marketing approach to the employee motivation and training and the traditional human resources management practices. Although they concluded that there can be no doubt that the internal marketing concept have a major role to play in the making employees customer consciousness. They left that the concept of treating the employee as a customer was problematic for the two reasons. First, the product being sold to the employee, that is, the job specification, generally have to be bought by service workers. Although employees may enter into the decision about the precise nature and form the roles the employees present them with. Ultimately, they have no real choices but to accept. The alternative would be to lose the job altogether. In normal marketing situation, customers not only have a range of a product to choose, but also can dedicate not to buy at all without a serious consequences. Second, the idea that all the customers, internal and external, are equally important in a service organization appears to stand on his head one most fundamental actions of marketing, that the external customers has a primacy. At its extremes, if employees were to behave as if they were the most important customers in the organization, they might place an demands on the organization that would lead to be commercially untenable situation. In practice, the cast of EasyJets, the passengers airline, is known as to have fully embarrassed the internal marketing concept. The company was established in 1995 by Stowell, who together with the marketing director Tony Anderson developed a successful airline business founded on nonsense value and a strong low price posting to the customers. The down to the earth culture is reflected in the organizational structures which focuses on eliminating as much as bureaucracy and internal heresies as possible. All documents are scanned and placed on a central computer system so that everyone in the company can access them. They includes the mail, internal memos, press cuttings, business plans, and the sales data. Everyone knows what everyone else is doing, and a clear effect is made to ensure that all the employees can have a say in development of the marketing strategy. In Easy Land, the company's headquarters at Luton Airport, employees are instructed to dress casually and maintain a paperless office like the company owners. This has created a system of working which has been described as brutally transparent in the way that the information is shared between the employees in all the departments. So, what might be the problem associated with such a full scale adoption of an internal marketing practice? First, there is a problem of an information overload. The internal customers may have to process a vast amount of an information that can waste time. Second, the staff can feel that they need and constantly to be informed about what the other parts of organization are doing, just in the case they are asked to contribute the ideas. Third, it can lead to the semiotic culture where, because everyone has a voice, it is difficult for the staff to be recognized personally for what they have contributed. Employees as a partial customers. A perhaps less extreme way of treating the employees is to view them partial customers. Bowen present this as one of the strategies that the service organizations should follow when they're trying to create a favorable climate for the services. At its simplest level, this would involve giving the employees the same courteous treatment that the management would want the organization customer to receive. For instance, giving them a clear understanding of what they can accept for the service experiments and help and support from various parts of organization. The rationale for giving the employees the same treatment as the customer stem from the fact that the on-site participation of customers tend to blur the distinguish between the two roles, employee and the customer perception and the behavior, therefore became and shaped by the same set of an organization's practice and became strong interviewed with each other. Values and the practices of an internal marketing. Rafiq and Ahmad critically appraises the values of using the marketing techniques to motivate the service employees. They conclude that the most value contribution comes from applying the promotional and the market research techniques internally with the employees. List recognizing that the traditional human resources management practices already include some of these. They acknowledge that the marketing techniques can add to the army. Hellman and Payne carried out a pilot study that looks at the nature and extent of an internal marketing programs in a sample of UK companies. Responded were asked a series of an question in a semi-structured interviews which related to the internal marketing programs taking a place in their organizations. Overall, internal marketing in all its form was recognized as an important activity in developing a customer-focused organization. Especially, however, the research highlighted a number of other important contributions made by the approach. The important role international marketing can play is reducing the conflict between the functional area of business. For example, the customer orientation approach adopted with some retail organization is helping to improve the traditionally and analogically relationship between the head office function and the stores. There is a need for a clear communication of an organization mission statement. The importance of an effective communication in successful internal marketing. The contribution internal marketing can make towards facilitating a spirit of an innovation with the organization. The fact that the internal marketing is most successful where there is a commitment at the highest level, where all the employees cooperate and all open management styles exist. The role internal marketing approaches can play in giving the organization a complete advantage. Additionally, the internal marketing concepts is believed to have the potential to a great reduce the overall gap between what external customers accept from an organization and what they actually receives, increasing the job satisfaction of an service employees. A basic premises underlying the internal marketing facts focus on that satisfied the employee which lead to the satisfying customers. A Bittner et al. Had noted that we have highlighted in the previous low job satisfaction has a potential to cause the low quality service encounter performances on the part of employees. This in turn could lead to the dissatisfaction customers generating a negative words of a mouth about the employees and the service firms. Researchers focusing on the determination of a job satisfaction for frontline retail customers, personnel looked at the relationship between the empathy, role conflict, and the loan clarity, and the job tension on the job satisfaction of service workers. The findings highlighted the five policy concerns for the service managers, striving to enhance the employees' job satisfactions. Service first one. Service employee with high contact customers need to have a very clear understanding of their roles within the organization. Job descriptions need to be communicated to them in detail, including an indication as to what actions that can and cannot take in. Increasing the role clarity in this way was found to reduce the amount of conflict each employees had with the others in the organization and reduce the tensions generally. Second, service manager are advised to hire an individual who are highly empathetic, that is, able to take the view of an points, either the customers or the fellow employees. This is based on the contention that as an employee communicate the feeling of an empathy to the customers. Job tension is reduced and job satisfaction is increased. Although empathy is a quality that the service provider can test for at the recruitment stage, it can be also be developed in the workstation. J. Sainsbury, the UK food and grocery trailers, for example, hold the customers' evening at their stores where the staff sit down with a group of end customers and listen to their comments about the store, product and services. This enables the staff to understand how the customers perceive their offer and consequently communicate the feelings of empathy to the customers. Third, employee needs to be fully trained in how to deal with the customers. Frontline employees are frequently faced with an disgruntled customers who want the solutions to the problem caused by the company policy and the procedures. Although individual employees may not be responsible for the problem, they are expected by the each customers to find an immediate solution to their problem. As the intensity and the quantity of such conflicts increases, job tension rises for the employees. A job tension rises, a job satisfaction declines. Apart from developing the employees' empathetic skills, service providers can use an scenario building to alert the employees to the potential conflict situation and give them a detailed advice about how to resolve the issues. 4. Clear lines of an command need to be drawn up and communicated between the management and employees. When the employees do not know who to consult in order to have resolved a difficult service situation, job tension increases and the job satisfaction declines. Fifth, employee must be empowered by the management to do whatever it takes to satisfy the customers. Employee empowerment is considered to be a very effective strategy available to the service organization to help improve the relationship between the employee and the customers, and had received considerable attention in the service marketing literature. Although there are a number of different definitions of the concept, It is essential, involves realizing control to the service employee at a crucial moment of contact with the customer, giving them an autonomy to make a decision flexibly in the response to the customer's demand as and when they occur. Workers are encouraged to think and creativity about the solutions to the problem presented to them by the customers rather than being driven by a standard functional script. Empowerment. Bowen and Lower provide a more comprehensive definitions of the term empowerment. They define it as a sharing for four organizational integrants with the frontline employees. First, information about the organization performance. Second, revolved based on an organization performance. Third, knowledge that enables the employees to understand and contribute to the organizational performance. Fourth, power to make a decision that influences the organization directions and the performances. Research in a service organization has highlighted the significant advantage in using this method to manage employee. The advantage relating the primarily to increase the customer satisfaction with the critical service encounters. Customers frequently recall their most satisfying service encounters as those when the employees appears to have broke the rules in the customer yes and responded quickly and flexibly to their particular service needs. For example, when ordering a banquet for 4 or 8 people at a Chinese restaurant, the waiter takes in an account that the individual performance of the party by the waiter balancing the fish and the meat dishes in the backyard. These actions appear to be a contradict restaurant's policy that promotes a set of a menu for each group size, but greatly increases the satisfaction of the party with their experiences. The customer are surprised and delighted with the waiter flexible approach. Bowen and Lawyer feel that only one to do customers benefit from this approach, but the employees clearly feel better about their works. The value having a sense of and control and are also more willingly to give the service management their views on how the thing should be organized to improve a service performances. In this way, empowerment employees become a great sources of an service ideals. Although there are clearly advantages to empowering the service employees, there are also a cost that needs to be considered. Because of the level of responsibility developed to the service workers, companies tend to spend more time and money on recruiting and training. There can be also be a trick of an inconsistent delivery, with one service employees responding to a customer complaint in a different way from the another. On some occasions, this could be lead directly to highly dissatisfaction customers. Research has also shown that the empowerment as a strategy can be more effective in some service organizations than the others. Empowerment appears to be the best approach whenever where the service delivery involves a managing a relationship as opposed to the simply performing as a transaction. Situations with many of the cases described on the book. The small business orientation places the emphasis on the service providers and the employees established long-term relationship with their customers. The organizations rely on a long-term clients to bring in new business and actively involvement in the common communication strategies and generation ideas for service development. The promotional material used by an Waymark Holidays, for example, includes the comments for our customers about their holidays, while the color consultant relies on her loyalty clients to identify the new services they would like her to provide. As Bowen and Lawyer note, the more enduring the relationship between the customers and the service organization, and the more important is it in the service packages, the stronger the case for the empowerment. The success of an empowerment also appears to depend on the type of an environment in which the business operates. For instance, it can be a very effective approach if the service is heavily influenced by the uncontrollable eternal variables. The leaders used by an waymark holidays more or encouraged to take an independent decision about how to handle many situations. A very few problems could be anticipated in advance by the center. While walking in the Greek mountain, one party was attacked by a swarm of bees. The four guide had to react swiftly without the consultation with the center. The and the arrangement for the two groups member to get to a hospital as well as rearranges the walking schedule for the rest of the group. The successful internal marketing is based on an dual tenet that the every employee in a science service organization should recognize that they have their own customers to serve and that all the employees should be convinced of a quality of a service provided. The former ensures the customer orientation throughout the support services as well as for the frontline employees. The latter requires the company missions to be marketed to the internal customers, the employee, with the effective two-way communication system. The internal marketing approach has been found to have some flaws from an academic and a participal perspective. In the organization that practices the internal marketing, better communication, reduced internal conflicts, and a spirit of innovations are seen as some of the benefits of the approach. The advocates of an internal marketing will look to increase the job satisfaction of a service employee in the belief that it will be eventually lead to satisfied the customers. Employee job satisfaction may result for a long role clarification, encouragement of an empathetic approaches, effective trainings, clear lines of commanded, in particular, employees empowerment. In the appropriate service environment, empowerment is seen as a strategy for increasing both the customer specification and the employee enjoyment. Having read these chapters, you should be able to explain the concept of an internal marketing, appreciate the potential benefits of applying the traditional marketing techniques with the employees, critically assess the advantage and the disadvantages of an internal marketing perspectives, understand the issue facing services organization that are striving to increase the employee job satisfaction, evaluate the employee empowerment as a strategic initiative for service organization, to present the theory and a particular implementations relating to the concept of preserving service quality and the customer satisfaction in the services, to provide and evaluation of similarities and the differences between the concept of a service's quality and the customer satisfaction, to present the result showing the determination and the dimension of an perceived service quality, to evaluate the gaps model of a service quality and the potential causes of the gaps, to introduce and critically access the SERVQL instruments, to introduce and evaluate the different perspective of a customer satisfaction, to summarize the debates on the service quality versus the customer satisfaction. Service quality has been identified as a single most researched area in the service marketing to the date, and it is maintained that for a service-based companies, quality is a lifeblood that brings increased patronaged competitive advantage and long-term probabilities. The word satisfaction has been fundamental to the marketing concept for over the 3 decades, and the number of academic articles on the consumer satisfaction has topped 15,000 by 1992. The topics of service quality and the consumer satisfaction have attracted the attention of both the academic and the participants who increasingly consider the actions aimed to add the improving service quality, customer satisfaction to be an internal part of an organization long-term strategy. Research on preserving service quality has enhanced largely from the services marketing literature, whereas much often researches on the customer satisfaction is to be found within the customer behavior literature, where the focus is on the satisfaction with the physical goods as well as with the services. There is often some confusion reading the similarities and the difference between the services, quality, and the customer consumer satisfaction. And this may be attributed to the different organisms. Take for an example some often quoted definition of the two concepts. First, perceived service quality, the degree and the direction of a gap between the consumer perception and the expectation of an service. Second, consumer satisfaction, a function of similarities between the consumer expectations and the preserved performances of the purchase. Both definitions seems to be refer to an comprehension between the consumer expectations and the perception of a service. In these chapters, we examine in a separate session the concept of a service quality and the customer satisfaction, taking an account of their different organisms. In the final sessions, the idea and the issues are brought together to encompass the current debates, area of particular applications, and the links to the following two chapters. Perceived service quality. As we highlighted at the very beginning of this book, the definition and the monitoring the quality services is very different from the defining and the monitoring the quality of an tangible products. From an international perspective, a manufacturer can grade the pieces of a fruit received from a supplier according to the certain objectives, quantity criteria, for example, weight, size, color, texture, and so on. Similarly, for an external perspective, that it is a consumer's viewpoint, a quality assessment of their fruits can be made in the supermarket prior to the purchase by touching or feeling the merchandise. Habits at a more subjecting level. In both the cases, the quality assessment relates clearly to the finished products. With the services, in contrast, the customers make the judgment about the quality of the service delivery process as well as on the final outcome. The independent businessman, for instance, might assess the quality of an accountant work not only on the appearance of a final set of accounts, but also on the telephone manner of the accounts, employees, and the speed with which the work is carried out. Because a service is usually made up of both tangible and intangible components, many attempts at defining the service quality have made the distinction between the objective measures of a quality and those which are based on the more subjective perceptions of the customers. According to the Grand Ross, for example, a service can be broken down into two quality dimensions. One, the technical quality. Second, the functional quality. Both the dimensions are important to the customers. Technical quality refers to the relatively quantifiable aspects of the services, that it is, what is being done. Functional quality refers to how the technical quality is being delivered to the customer. For example, with the service offered by the car mechanic, a customer might look at the machinery being used to fix the car and the skills and the expertise to the mechanic to make an assessment of the technical quality of the services. The general attitude and an appearance of an employee in contrast of the services. The general attitude and the appearance employee in the contrast which cannot be measured as accurately as the element of an technical quality would be a component of the functional quality of the services. However, service quality is defined. More researchers agree that it has to be defined by the consumers. In this case, as each consumer is different, we usually refer to the precise service quality. How consumer access service quality? Although it may be difficult, service organizations need to take a step, monitor and improve the quality of the services that they provide. According to Lewis and Boone, service quality is a measure of how well the service level delivered matches the customer's expectation. Delivering a quality services mean conforming to the customers' expectations on a constant basis. Using this definition of a service quality, one of the first steps before the implementation the quality improvement program involves the establishment purely within the compounds of a service influence, the customer's perception of the quality. Service quality from the customer's perspective is examined with reference to the pioneering work carried out by the Parasuram, Zietmal, and the Berry. This research intentionally identify as a set of an determinant used by the consumer to judge the quality of the services by the services they receive. Using this as in subsequent researchers, they produced a consequential framework, a gap model, and a measurement instructions of an circular that had been widely used by companies to access the service quality. Determinant of an service quality. Supporting the view of an Lewis and Booms, Permishman, Leithman, and the Beery, that is PZB, feels that the only criteria that counts in evaluating the service quality are those defined by the customers. In the yearly research, PZB identified an 10 criteria that the customers use to judge the quality of a service that they receive. The first 5 relates to the quality of an final outcome, while the remainder refer mainly to the quality of a process of service delivery. First, reliability. This relates to the ability of a service provider to perform the promised service dependent on accuracy. The sort of a question that a client might ask of an account to access dependably, for example, might relate to whether all the information deadlines specified by the Inland Revenue and the relevant legislative has been met. Second, the access. In the service accessible and delivered with a little waiting, for example, to do the hairdresser client have to wait month before getting an appointment to have their hair cut. Third, security. Is the service free from the danger, risk or doubt? For example, how safe does the customer feel using the bank automatic teller machine? Fourth, creditability. How trustworthy and the honesty does the service provider appears to be? If the double glazing company tell the customer that they will deliver within the week, how likely this to be happen? Fifth, understanding the customers. How much effect does the organization make to get to know its customer and understanding their needs? A color consultant, for example, would score highly here, giving individual consultation to the client which involve questioning them on the aspects of their lifestyle. 6. Responsiveness. How willing are the services employee to help the customers and to deal with their specific problems? Is that the account available to talk over a specific problems whenever the client ring up? Competence. To what extent do the employee possesses the required skill and the knowledge to perform the services? Often here, when using a service provider for the first time, the customer uses the existence of an professional qualification or the membership of a certain trade association to access this. Accountant, for example, must be a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountant in English and the Wales to prepare limited company accounts. Courtesy. Are the staff polite and considerable to the customers? Are the Waymark Holiday telephone operators are polite and helpful to each other's customers to make an inquiry about a booking? Ninth, tangible. What assessment can be made of an appearance of a physical facilities, equipment, personnel, and communication material? Do all the waiters in the restaurant wear a clear uniform and appears to be concerned about their personal hygienic as well as the cleanliness of the food that they are presenting? 10th, communication. How good is the organization at communicating effectively what it is provided in the service and what role the customers are expected to play? Specifically, perhaps, are the customers kept informed about the reasons for the possible breakdowns in the delivery system. PZB points out the 10 determinants are not necessarily independent of each others, that it is, there could be some overlap between the categories. They feel that the determination are appropriate for assessing the quality across a broad variety of the services. As they note, even though the specific evaluate criteria may vary from the service to the service, the general dimension underlying those criteria are captured by our set of 10. Dimension of an service quality. After further searches into the measurement of an service quality, PZB advocates that the 10 determinants could be collapsed into 5 dimensions of the quality. They are: first, tangible, including the physical components of the services, example, seating, lighting, and so on. Second, reliability, depending on the service providers and accuracy of an performance. Third, responsiveness, prominent and helpfulness. Fourth, assurance, knowledge and the courtesy of an employee and the ability to inspire the trust and confidence. Fifth, empathy, caring, individualist attention the firm gives its customer. The dimension of an tangible reliability and the responsiveness remains unchanged. Assurance encompasses competence, courtesy, credibility, and security, and empathy included the access, communication, and understanding the customers. Virtually all subsequent researchers by the PBZ and the others involve the uses of the 5 dimension of the quality rather than the original 10 determinants. Potential causes of in-service quality shortfall, the gap model. In parallel with their identification of a dimension of in-service quality, PZB postulated the major causes of an perceived service guilt gap, that it is the gap between the customer expectation and the perception. They specified 4 potential causes of this gap, which they labeled as a gap 5. First, service providers need to ensure that a management appreciate equality, exactly what service attributes are valued by the customers and in what order. A restaurant manager, for example, may believe that the customer's evaluation of the quality of a services is influenced primarily by the decor in the restaurant, and that the quality of a food and the attitude of an employee towards the staff are of little significance. In this is an incorrect decision could be made about the service design and delivery, which would significantly affect the labeled customer evaluation about the quality being provided. This gap they label as gap 1, that it is a gap between the customer expectation and the management perception of an customer expectations. Second, even in the management full appreciate that the attributes valued by the customers, they are often unwilling, unable, or simplify to do not care enough to put the resources into solving the problem. For example, even though the operators of the theme park recognize that the customer equation of a quality of the experiences at the theme park is negatively influenced by the length of a time they are forced to spend waiting in a queue for a ride. Little has been done by the operator to alleviate the situation. This gap they labeled as a gap 2, that is, the gap between the management perception of a customer expectation and the service quality specifications. Third, the research also highlighted a problem that or relatively specifically to the service deliver. Even if a quality standards or character set in an accordance with an accurate reading of a customer expectation, service quality could be still be substandard because of an definitives that related to their attitude and the manner of an constant employee. The employees, for example, may not have been given an adequate training and support to carry out the task required, or they may not have been aware of exactly what they are expected to do. This gap they labeled as a gap 3, that it is the gap between the service quality specification and actual service delivery. Fourth, another problem occurs when the organization promises that they will deliver on the level or a type of services but in a reality deliver something different. This has been termed the promising gap and can be easily occurs in an actual service experiences. I'd say a retailer store does not reflect the implement or the experiment promises conveyed by a television advertisement. This gap they labeled as gap 4, that it is the gap between the service delivery and the external communication to the customers. For many service organizations, one way closing the gap for is to try the development a strong service brand. As with the product branding, the strength of a service brand depends on the extent to which the brand conveys a constituent, positive and a clear message to the consumers about what is being offered. This is clearly a more difficult task for the service organization given the primarily intangible nature of an offer and the reliance on the variable employee interactions to convey the brand messages. In theory, a clear brand should help to the difference the service offered from the competitions. As McDonald et al. Note, however, the different sectors of a service industry have been varied in their ability to achieve the differentiation with their brands. They contrast the service success of a services branding in the airline industry, where it traveled were asked to evaluate the Virgin, Lufthansa, or a Singapore airline according to an punctuality in the flight, entertainment, and attentive cabin staff. They would be very likely to talk about the differences with their hesitations to the financial and insurance sectors where very few brands have managed to differentiate themselves. The key to the success services branding involves first making the brands tangible by the manipulating the physical components associated with the service, and the second ensuring that the brand values are understood and efficiently communicated to the customers by all the contact employees. In essence, the gap 1, 2, 3, and 4 contributes to the essential gap 5, the gap between the customer expectations and the perceptions, the measure of an person's service quality. The gaps model have therefore understandably resulted in the follow-ups research into understanding further anticipated of an consumer expectation and into the methods of an reducing the gap 1 to 4. Antecedents of an customer's expectations. BSV identified the 4 key factors that might influence a customer expectations. First, word of mouth communication. For example, what your friends thinks about the hairdressers they are planning for you. Second, the personal needs and their performances. For example, whether you personally think that it is important that the sales staff wears the same uniform. Third, past experiences. For example, if you are a regular user of a particular resultant and have always been given a rose at the end of your meal, you would come to expect this treatment. However, if you had never been there before, the rose would not form a part of your service explanations. Fourth, external communication. For example, advertising an advertisement in the newspaper advising you to book 3 months in advance for a table at a restaurant at Christmas might lead some customers to make inferences about the quality of a food they might receive on the day. To take a specific example, one of our author was visiting the Australia for the first time and was booked into an hotel Ibis Darling Harbour in Sydney. Word of mouth from an Australian college indicated that the venue was excellent. The hotel would appear to be satisfactory hygienic need, with an added advantage of having a swimming pool. The person concerned had stayed in an IBS hotel in Luton, England, and had also frequently passed the Manchester Ibis Hotel with its very prominent of an room for only 39.50 euros per night. The website for the hotel Ibis Darling Haber was well developed and informative, with the pictures, maps, and so on. All of them sources cumulative in the buildings and expectation of an likely service experiences of a week stays in the hotel. Method of reducing the gap 1 to 4. Table 8.1. Summarize some of the probable causes of an gap 1 to 4. Where the causes of are relevant to the particular services, management can develop a cure to reduce the gap. It is worth noting that the amended versions of an gap 1 to 4 can be used to measure and monitor the internal service quality as part of an internal marketing policy. The main volume of an research undertaken by the two academic and the participationers, however, has centered on the gap 5. This is because it is the essential gap, but it is also the only gap that can be examined solely on a data from the consumers. Much of the work has been applied the research instrument known as an Cirquoial, the research instrument. In 1988, buildings on their yearly research, PZB published a multiple item scale for measuring in consumer perceptions of a service quality, named as Cirquoial. This was revised in 1991 based on an extended exemplary and an empirical research. They identify 22 quality related items spread among the 5 quality dimensions as provided a reliable and a valid measure of a service quality. Cirquoial became a major research instrument used by the many others. PZB themselves admit that although the Cirquoial is a useful starting point, it is not the final answer for an assessing and improving a service quality. It does, however, enable an organization to compare the customer expectation and the perception over the time. For example, a theme park operator may have an established during one season that the negative attitude of an employee had determined the influence of on the customer perceptions of a quality of a service provided through the theme park. Consequently, the owner may embed on an investigate requirement campaign to employ more highly motivated worker for the next session. The impact of a several change can be monitored by a report survey. The organization can also compare the Cirquoial score with a competitor. The result can be used to categorize a company customers into an precise quality segment on basis of their individual Cirquoial scores. That the organization may find that the customers who have been with them for the longest period of the time or all within a certain ages category access the quality on a different service dimension, and they can take in managerial decisions accordingly. Finally, Cirquoial can be used to access the quality perception of an internal customer that it is the different departments may want to know about the quality of services that they provide to others in an organization. Constitutional and methodological problem with the Cirquoial scale. The Cirquoial research instrument was placed in the public domain by the PZB, and not surprisingly, it has been used by the many researchers since its publication. These researchers, through attempting to measure the service quality in a variety of service sectors, have identified some conceptual and a methodological problem with the Cirquoial scale. Indeed, the criticism of an Cirquoial is becoming an academic industry on its own rights. 3 issues are mentioned here. The chapter bibliographical references at the end of a chapter allows the interested reader to become up to the date with the Cirquoial strength and the weakness. Causes of an service quality gap. Service quality gap. Gap 1. The gap between the customer's expectation and the management perception of an customer expectation. The possibilities causes of the gap. Lack of an marketing research inaccurate information, inadequate use of finding, poor upward communication from the contact personnel, too many management or the organization layer. Service quality gap in gap 2. The gap between the management perception of an customer expectation and a service quality specialization. Possible causes of the gap: lack of clarity of goal setting, inadequate task standardization, lack of an management commitment, poor management of planning and planning procedure. Service a quality gap in gap 3. The gap between the service quality specification and an actual service delivery. Possible causes of the gap: rigid or complicated specifications, poor internal marketing, employee role ambiguity and or conflict, breakdown in the technology or the system support. Quality service quality gap 4. The gap between the service delivery and the external communication to the customer. Possible causes of the gap: proportionality to over the promise and exaggerative, marketing the communication not integrated between the operation and the advertising sales and human resources function, difference in the procedures according to the organizations. Thank you.